Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. It is beautiful outside. It really is, guys. I hope you're having a wonderful day. So, in today's video, I'm going to make meatloaf, steamed collard greens, and a broccoli rice cheese casserole. So, this is the ground beef that I'm using. This was what I had on hand, but I usually make this with the 80/20 ground beef. It has more fat, but like I say, I'm using what I have. So I'm going to use some basic seasonings in this. Salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder. I'm going to be using the Kinder's no salt seasoning, which is really good. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to add some of the Morton's seasonal. Also, in this recipe, I'm going to use some liquid smoke to give it a little smoky taste. Not too much, but just a few drops. So yeah, make sure your meatloaf is seasoned well, the way you like it, guys. And plus, meatloaf is really easy to make. It's not hard at all. You just add your meat, your vegetables, your eggs, seasonings, and a filler like some breadcrumbs or what you have, and that's it. So I'm going to crack my 2 eggs. I have cut up some onions, red and green bell pepper. Those are my veggies. And for my filler, along with the eggs, I'm using 1 slice of sourdough bread. That's what I have, so that is what I'm using. Some people use oatmeal, some people use breadcrumbs, but today I'm using some sourdough bread. Sometimes I have made meatloaf without even using any bread, and it still comes out good. So I would say it's your preference, whatever you decide to add, but this is the way I'm doing this one. That was my liquid smoke. And I'm going to add some of this tomato sauce. It doesn't have any salt, so you got to really season up your meatloaf. All right, so here is the seasonal, and I just had maybe about a teaspoon to add to the meatloaf mixture. And guys, this really had a lot of flavor. It really did. So I'm going to bake this on 350 in a glass dish. And I had just enough meatloaf to fill up the dish with, and that worked out really good. So I'm just going to pat it out and kind of dent the sides of it with my hands. I don't really want to pack it. And next I'm going to put a foil sheet on it, and I'm going to put it in the oven. I let this bake for maybe about 40 minutes, but you want to bake it until when you press the top, you see clear liquids. And that way you will know it's done. All right, so it's in the oven. Now here are my onions for the steamed collard greens. I just cut them up and add a little bit of olive oil. I'm not adding any meat to this. I'm using some shredded collard greens this time. I thought they were all the same, but I found out they were different. And this made a big bunch too, guys. So I'm just gonna wash them really good, pick through them, rinse them, then I'm gonna add them to my pan. So yes, I'm gonna cook these collard greens without meat, but they're gonna be really good. And I'm gonna season them up. And I'm gonna add a little bit of the liquid smoke to this, and that will give them the little smoke taste that we get when we use like smoked meat. It'll give it some flavor. So I'm going to let these cook down, and then I'm going to come back and add the rest of the greens. So my greens have cooked down, as you can see. So I'm going to start seasoning the collard greens up. And I'm just using, again, the basic seasonings. You can add whatever seasonings you like. I was going to use some of the little, here is my liquid smoke, just a little. I was going to use some of the jalapeno vinegar juice. I really like that, but I'm out, guys. So I got to restock. And I also learned that any type of pickled pepper or peppers in a jar, they are good. They make your collard greens taste good, and you can add a little to your cabbage also. Right here, I've already cut my broccoli for the casserole, so I'm just gonna let it steam. And I'm using fresh broccoli, but if you don't have fresh, you can always use the frozen. So I'm gonna check on this meatloaf. It is cooking up, it's not done. I just took the foil off, and I'm gonna let it bake a little longer. All right, so here is the meatloaf, guys. It is done. I'm gonna make a little sauce for the top. I'm just adding some more of that tomato sauce and some Heinz 57. And I did have to add a little bit of salt and pepper to this, just a little. And this had a good flavor to it. So I had to taste. My hands are clean before I add it to the top. So I just added this on, and I put it back in the oven for a few minutes. I didn't let it get brown. I just put it back in the oven. And yeah, guys, I'm just using what I have in the house. Right, so my broccoli has steamed, so I've rinsed my broccoli. Now we're gonna make this casserole. You can put as much cheese as you like, but I didn't want too much cheese. So the recipe calls for 1 can of cream of chicken, and it also called for a dab of mayonnaise, but I didn't put any mayonnaise in it. And I cut up some cheese for this. I'm using sharp cheddar. You can use the one that you like, and 1 can of the water goes into. So for my rice, I use 1 pack of microwavable brown rice. Then I came back and I added 1/2 cup of the chicken flavor rice, my favorite rice. And I seasoned this up too. It's gonna cook because it will be in the oven for about 35 minutes. So this is the chicken flavor rice that I like. It's really good. Just make sure you have everything mixed up really good. And this is all you have to do to it. It's very easy, it's simple, and it's quick. It doesn't take long at all. All right, so I'm gonna get my little glass dish. and I'm going to pour it in this dish. I'm going to cover it and let it bake. And after it bakes up, then I add some cheese to the top and let it melt. I found this recipe off of TikTok and I wanted to try it. And now is a real good time to try it. But it was really good. Also, I baked this on 350 degrees for about 35 minutes. And guys, a little of this goes a long way. All right, so now my meatloaf is out of the oven. It's done. Here is my casserole. I'm gonna add the cheese on top. I put it back in there and now it's done. So it looks good and it tasted really, really good. So here it is. So I did take the meatloaf out of this dish, and after I cut it, I did eat a slice. I put it in this smaller dish for the presentation. So my collard greens are done. I added some butter, and I baked the sweet potato pie that's in the other video. So now I'm just gonna make a plate, guys. So I'm gonna slice some of the meatloaf. I'm gonna add a slice to the plate. I'm gonna add some collard greens, and I'm gonna add the broccoli rice cheese casserole. I might call it broccoli cheese rice casserole, but it was really good. All right, so I'm adding the collard greens. Now I'm gonna add this casserole. So guys, I hope you really get to try these recipes. I hope it gives you an idea of how you can just use what you have, guys, and make a meal. So here is the plate, guys. Here is the casserole again. I hope you get to go over and watch the sweet potato pie recipe. And again, guys, share, like, and subscribe, and be blessed.